Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. So today I come in peace. Why? Because what I'm going to be talking about in today's video is going to be a bit controversial, but I mean, someone has to say it. It's been for a while. I've been hearing a lot about organic vaccines and organic medications and raising organic chickens. Yeah. Now, it's not to say that there is no organic chickens in the world, but I want to tell you that 95% or even higher of what you actually call organic chicken is actually not organic chicken. People have this perception in their head that if chickens are raised on a free-range system, then they are organic. Let's first define what organic is. How could we call a chicken organic? We would call a chicken organic if a chicken is produced and it is raised in such a way that it never, number one, receives a single vaccine, it never, number two, receives a single antibiotic, and all the feed that it consumes is 100% natural. Yeah. So forget about it consuming grain that has been grown in such a way that it was grown in an inorganic way. So it was grain that was grown with inorganic fertilizer, grain that was, sprayed during the growing period. Because if it does, in one way or another, then when it grows up and the bird consumes this, it's in one way or another going to be, feeding or taking in all this other stuff, whether it's a vaccine, whether it is, medicine that was used to spray the animals and all this kind of stuff. So first of all, if a chicken is raised on free range, that doesn't mean that it is fully organic. Yeah. So if someone packages, people are very, very brilliant at naming and packaging stuff. You're going to find a lot of eggs, for example, labeled fully organic eggs. And what do they mean by organic? The birds have been raised on a free range system. And by the way, you'll even be surprised, the biggest percentage of them are even not raised on a free range system. Yeah, and we're going to go into that a bit later on. But the biggest percentage of these eggs where they say they have been raised on a free range system are not. So what usually happens is that they will raise the birds in maybe 50% free range system. Personally, when I was doing a system like that, I would call it a hybrid system. I would keep my birds, at that time it was dual purpose birds, inside the chicken house, and then I would let them out probably at around 3 p.m. and they would stay around out until 7 p.m. so they are feeding on the grass and then they get back in. Yeah. Now, when birds do that, they're going to give you a proper nice yellow yolk because they are feeding on vegetables and all that kind of stuff, on grass and all that kind of stuff. And then it is very easy for me to go outside there and tell guys, these are yellow yolk chickens from free range or organic eggs, simply because they are yellow yolk. It's very, very easy for me to do that. But in reality, they are not. Out of the 24 hours in a day, they have only spent 4 hours on the grass. The rest of the time, they're being raised like any other, commercial chicken that's being raised. Yeah. So that's the other thing. Yeah. Having all this stuff labeled organic doesn't mean that the chickens or whatever is being raised, if I got these chickens and went and sold them, I could slaughter them, package them very nicely and tell guys, I'm selling you free range chickens or I'm selling you organic chickens. A lot of people would be confused and actually think they're actually organic chickens, and I could post a few videos or pictures showing you how I'm raising them out in the open. And you could get confused and actually think, I'm giving you free range or organic chickens. Yeah. But having a chicken be in a free range system doesn't make it organic. That's what I want you to understand from the very beginning. So very commonly, I've been seeing it so often around where you find all these birds that are raised in a free range system. And another thing that I've seen very commonly is when people actually keep birds in a deep litter system. Yeah, so they keep them in houses, but they feed them with vegetables. Yeah, so they'll come outside, just like I have a garden over here, they pick up some, some green stuff from the ground and things like that, go and give them to the chickens, and they will say, these are organic chickens. Can you imagine? Yeah. So you need to, first of all, be really clear and understand this. Yeah. The myth of organic chickens, the myth of free-range chickens is actually a big myth. Yeah. Now let's go a little bit into detail about diseases and vaccination and all this inorganic stuff. And I want to actually show you and help you understand that in reality there is so few actual organic chickens being raised in the entire world. So few. Yeah. It's a different thing if they talk about chickens raised in a humane manner. Yeah, that one is understandable. A lot of people have tried to do that. Yeah, where they raise chicken in a humane manner. So the first thing is, a lot of people have tried to avoid putting chickens in cages in order to commercialize the farming thing and get the best out of it. A lot of people have been raising chickens in cages, putting chickens in cages. It had reached a point where, you know, animal rights people and, you know, people generally felt like, you know, it's inhumane. It's just not good to keep chickens in a box for their entire life. Yeah. So because of that, they decided to start keeping chickens, I mean, in better systems, just like you can see right here. So for me, this is a deep litter system. So the chickens get to fly around, move around. I think if you look up there, you can see some chickens up there. So those chickens can literally just fly around, move around. They climb up on stuff and all that kind of stuff because they are in a deep litter system. They get to literally experience the natural things that a chicken goes through. Yeah. So they will scratch in the litter. They will literally just enjoy themselves. Yeah. And in Europe, for example, and maybe in North America, I think in Europe, it's not allowed to keep chickens in cages, yeah? Now, in other parts of the world, for example, in the Middle East, like, you know, in the UAE and Saudi Arabia, they keep a lot of chickens in cages, but they also keep a lot of chickens in a free-range system. So they'll package them differently. You know, they will say, these are caged eggs, and these are eggs that are grown in, they even call it a free-range system. So the birds will be in a deep litter system like this, like mine right here, but they'll call it a free-range system, just because the birds are not in a cage, yeah? And the products from such birds which are kept in such a system will sell for a higher price. So if it is eggs, they'll sell for a higher price. If it is meat itself from the birds, it will sell for a higher price because, I mean, people are more willing to have such stuff than to have eggs from birds that are kept in the cage system, despite the fact that, you know, inherently everything is the same in terms of the product and what. Of course, birds that are kept in cages and things like that will have a bit more stress, so you'll have a bit more stress hormones in those birds, but there's not going to be a very big difference fundamentally. It's all about what people believe to be, you know, animal rights and things like that. Yeah, that is the first thing that you need to understand. Now, besides that, you're going to find a lot of people telling you that they are raising organic chickens and they still give them vaccines and they still give them antibiotics, yeah? Simply because you raise birds on a free-range system, like I've said, doesn't make them organic, yeah? If you're still giving them vaccines, if you're still giving them antibiotics, it simply means that the birds are not organic, plain and simple, yeah? Because vaccines, almost all vaccines, I don't think I know of a vaccine that's made in a natural way, yeah? The only natural way birds can be vaccinated or acquire immunity is if they actually first suffer from the disease, then they'll be, you know, immunized against it. And some diseases don't offer you lifetime like immunity, yeah? If birds, for example, got Newcastle disease and then you lost, let's say, 95% of your flock, because usually that's what happens. If a flock gets infected with like Newcastle disease, you're going to lose like 95% of that flock. And then what's going to happen is the 5% that remains, there's no guarantee that in the future they'll never get Newcastle disease. They 100% would easily get Newcastle disease and then they could get wiped out. So having a disease doesn't mean or guarantee that you'll be fully vaccinated against that disease in life, yeah? So the only natural way of getting a vaccine or immunized is by getting a disease. Now, if you're not doing that, then everything else is unnatural, which is what we actually practice in poultry farming, yeah? So if you guys can see, I do have chicken houses right here. This is just 2 of the chicken houses that I do have. I've raised hundreds of thousands of chickens, and I'll tell you, in all honesty, I mean, I spend thousands and thousands of dollars on these chickens, yeah? In fact, I believe I spent millions of dollars on raising chickens personally, and there's certainly no way that I'm going to spend I don't know how much money, let's say $100,000 on chickens, and then just leave them up to chance, just allow for a disease to come and attack them and they die because I'm an anti-vaxxer, because I don't believe in giving chickens vaccines, yeah? There's no way I'm going to do that. Of course, I want to safeguard my money very jealously, yeah? So someone once asked me recently, like, you know, doctor, tell me your belief and your thought pattern about organic vaccines. Guys, there's no organic vaccines. Whosoever tells you there's an organic vaccine has lied to you. There's no organic vaccine. The only organic vaccine is let the chickens get sick. Those that do recover will have gotten vaccinated against the disease. Those that don't recover, well, there'll be the price for you actually having organic vaccines on your farm, yeah? Same exact thing when it comes to antibiotics. There are no organic antibiotics. Now, there are organic medications. If, for example, I come and, you know, get some herbs, for example, like from this tree or things like that, and give them to the chickens to try to treat them when they get an illness, that's really an organic medication. The problem, though, is that a lot of them are not tested. I mean, if I have, for example, recently I had, you know, a mild disease outbreak. I would say it was mild. It could have become really worse, but because I picked it really early, I can call it mild right now. Yeah. So I literally treated all my entire houses. Yeah. So my birds started like, sneezing and coughing mildly. So it was a respiratory disease. I got some antibiotics and treated all of them. It probably cost me about what? Maybe $150 to treat all of them. Yeah. So not so much, but I got the disease off the farm. Now, if I had not treated them, I could have decided that, hey, I'm going to go and look for some herbal stuff, yeah? So I start moving around looking for some concoctions, looking for, herbs, greens, all this stuff, pound them and everything, and then I'll give them to the birds. I mean, these birds recovered in like 2 to 3 days after I gave them that antibiotic, yeah? In 2 to 3 days, all of them were done. And by the way, that was the first time in a really long time, I think in like over 2 years, that I had gotten some form of disease outbreak on the farm. So, I mean, it was a reality check for me and the farm because we got to then implement stricter biosecurity measures to prevent diseases from coming onto the farm. But I mean, it was a reminder, yeah? It was a reminder, but it did happen. Now, I could have moved around and said looking for all this organic stuff and given them to the birds, and as much as I can guarantee you that there is no way that in 3 days all the birds would have recovered, yeah, I would still have gone on to lose quite a number, because I'm telling you this because I have seen it from experience. Personally, I've seen a lot of farmers that try to treat chickens organically. Yeah, the birds get faulty for it. The birds get E. coli, and they try to treat them, using organic stuff. Yeah. In the end, they always, I'll tell you the honest truth, they always come back to you and look for medication. They always do. At the beginning, of course, you'll believe in it. Yeah. But after you start losing 2, 3, 10, 20 birds, then you're like, what the hell am I doing? You have to go look for the medication, yeah? So if you're the kind of person who then doesn't believe in treating the birds, then you need to raise them in such a way that they are completely biosecure. What does that mean? Far away from any kind of chickens, and I would even say far away from human beings, because a lot of these diseases are transmitted by human beings. So you come into contact with someone who has come into contact with someone who has come into contact with a sick chicken. I mean, you even have no idea that in between there's a virus that has been transmitted, and then you come over to your farm, you start, raising your chickens, looking after your chickens and all this kind of stuff, and before you know it, your farm is infected and your birds are sick and your birds are dying. And then what the hell can you do? What do you do about that? Yeah. So for me over here, I mean, I can't gamble with such stuff. So there is organic medication, but I can't tell you that I would guarantee you 100% that after investing quite an amount of money like this on the farm, you can use it. Yeah. Now, for me to reduce the risk on my farm, the only thing that I have to do, and I know it works, is by giving them vaccines. Yeah, I mean, we know that vaccines do work, especially when it comes to particular diseases like Newcastle disease. Yeah, there are farms that choose not to vaccinate against Newcastle disease, or they don't vaccinate against it effectively, or they get fake vaccines. Those farms will always consistently get outbreaks of such diseases on their farm. On my farm, I've never had an outbreak of Newcastle disease. Yeah, I've never had it. I even find it hilarious that someone would have an outbreak of Newcastle disease, because I mean, the vaccine is present. You can understand how to mix it and you can deliver it to the birds, and then, I mean, you could minimize your chances of you getting the disease, or you could completely obliterate the chances of you getting the disease. So I 100% don't believe that there's something like an organic vaccine or an organic antibiotic. So is it actually possible for someone to do a commercial farm 100% organic? Yes, it is. But the risk is crazy. It is crazy, and I can guarantee you that the biggest percentage of stuff that you have labeled organic all around you, actually not organic. Yeah, I can tell you that 100%, because they use some vaccine of some sort, or they use some antibiotic of some sort, or at least they raise them and feed them, feed that is not grown in an organic manner. They feed them on corn or something like that. That's not raised in an organic manner, and in one way or another, it's not organic. Now, of course, we can decrease the amount of chemicals, and we can minimize it, but completely obliterate it, I would say that's really complicated, and that's really difficult. Yeah, very, very difficult. Anyway, so if you're someone who is interested in starting and growing a farm, just like me right here, I mean, I'm a medical doctor. I quit my job as a medical doctor. I enjoy farming. I just, live out the farm life right now on the farm. So you want to join me on something like this, there's quite an amount of knowledge. I mean, what I've been sharing right here is just a sneak peek. Yeah, there's quite an amount of knowledge that I've put together in what I call the Farm Up Academy. Yeah, and all all-inclusive course where you get all the information, all the management tools, the feed mixing tools, the biosecurity tools, all the information that you need to start and grow a farm that will make you thousands and millions of dollars. Yeah. So if that's you and you're interested, I'll leave a link to the Farm Up Academy below in the description of this video. Check it out and catch you very soon with another video. Lots of love. Bye-bye.